Hey there! If you're watching this video, then that means we've reached a particular milestone. And a special milestone requires a special video. So welcome to the WrestleSpective 5,138 subscriber spectacular. It's crazy to me that anyone even clicks on these dumb little videos, but we've come a long way and I'm very proud of it. So to celebrate, I'm going to review a pay-per-view that has seemingly been completely forgotten to time. But not anymore. So please enjoy. Welcome back to WrestleSpective, the channel that exposes you to wrestling you never knew about and reminds you of the wrestling you'd rather forget. And today we're leaning more into the wrestling you never knew about. And I feel like you should know about this because it's a show that actually was streaming on Netflix in 2012 and it's not that terrible. So let's take a look back at AWE, Awesome Wrestling Entertainment, Night of the Legends. I first discovered this show when I first got the streaming version of Netflix, and obviously I immediately searched for wrestling. It was mostly a couple of WWE studio films and maybe 3 of their documentaries. But then there was this show. A show I'd never heard of, from a promotion I'd never heard of, but featured a roster I was very familiar with. In the decade since, I've looked for this show everywhere I could. Every streaming service, every wrestling site. It's been nowhere you'd expect. I've always been waiting for someone else to review it here on YouTube, and for some reason no one's done it yet. So here I am. I'll do it. Before we get into the meat of it, reviewing shows isn't typically my thing. I'm generally kind in reviews. I just always find something to enjoy. I'm very easy to please. So my scale isn't stars or anything of that sort, just did I like a match? Did I like the show? Did I like a segment? Or did I not like it? With all that done, let's go. It's October 15th, 2011. Live on pay-per-view from the Augusta Expo Center in Fisherville, Virginia, AWE, yep, you heard that right, Awesome Wrestling Entertainment presents Night of the Legends, in front of about 2,000 fans. I do want to mention right off the bat, the production value isn't terrible. The way the building is set up, it's not obvious how big or small the building is. The lighting is great, the entryway is cool, so it's not too bad. We had some dark matches with Dennis Condrey losing to Bill Mulkey of all people, and Rip Sawyer defeating One Man Crew. We start the pay-per-view with our commentary trio of Chris Cruz, Dutch Mantell, and Larry Zbyszko. Not looking forward to Cruz and Dutch, but Zbyszko is always awesome and has a great spiel right off the top.
Back in 1999, the NWA champion, the former champion Terry Funk, takes on his student Tommy Dreamer.
You know, it's amazing how even time cannot stop destiny from happening. You know, and I think it was the famous prophet Nostradamus himself that said once in his quatrains, "Time fears only the pyramids," and Terry Funk.
Good point, Larry. And
First matchup is a no DQ match that was 10 years in the making. Tommy Dreamer versus his idol, Terry Funk. Terry is about 67 here and wouldn't retire for 6 more years. What a lunatic. The Funker cuts a promo before the start of the match telling us how his doctor says he shouldn't wrestle anymore. Was this the same doctor from Beyond the Mat in 1997? I thought he'd given up by now.
If I don't have an operation or if I don't have a new knee put in there, can I go ahead and live comfortably? Can I get around comfortably?
You shouldn't be able to get around comfortably now. This ought to give you pain chronically. It ought to be disabling to you.
Terry talks about his friendship with Tommy and how he wanted to wrestle for Dreamer and all these people here in Virginia. Those people give him the what chance, by the way. Fuck you for that, fans. It's a short list of people that should never get a what chant, and Terry Funk is the top of that list. Funk also tells Tommy that the older you get, the meaner you get, and clocks him with the mic and the fight is on. They immediately brawl to the outside, tossing each other into every small table in sight. They get back in the ring and start using some chairs that look like they came out of a church basement. They do the drop toe hold into the chair spot, but Dreamer couldn't get the chair to stand how he wanted, but it lands in what I assume was a safer position than what he was going for. A little more back and forth, church chair to the gut, small package, 1, 2, 3, Dreamer gets the win. It didn't look like it was supposed to be a 3, but then there was this ref bump afterwards, so either that was a great improv by everybody involved, or it went according to plan. Terry leaves, Dreamer celebrates to his not-so-terrible, legally distinct man in the box. When I first saw the show years ago, I remember liking this match way more than I do now. It was fine to me, but a whole lot of things going on for nothing to happen. And it's Funk vs. Dreamer, so there's some points on that alone. Did I like it? Not really. Now on to one of the matches that are the reason the show has stuck with me after all these years. Sanjay Dutt vs. Jamin Olivencia. Olivencia gets some promo time in the back and cuts a pretty decent promo that helps you understand exactly what the character is if it's your first time seeing him on pay-per-view. He's a self-centered jock with a great rat tail that loves saying his name. Well done. Then we go to Sanjay Dutt's promo and he's with Bill Apter. Awesome seeing him here. Solid babyface promo from Dutt telling the audience that he's nothing like Olivencia and doesn't want to be. They get right into some fantastic mat and chain wrestling. Olivencia shouts his own name every time he gains an advantage, and I love this gimmick.
These guys, you would think would have been so evenly matched, but for some reason, I'm just going to say his name, but he said it for me.
They have their working boots on, and they give us some great back and forth wrestling. Olivencia doesn't let Dutt get the advantage for too long, cutting him off just as he's getting going every time. The way Olivencia works and even looks reminds me an awful lot of MJF. And the more I watch this match, the more I like him. He blocks a sunset flip and just drags Dutt from the center ring to the ropes for the break. Great stuff. Finish comes when Olivencia hits a low blow and then hurry get the shot of the ref. We miss what Chris Cruz calls the O drop. And Olivencia gets the 3. They don't even have a replay of it. Turns out it's an awkward jumping DDT? I don't know, it doesn't look particularly devastating and not what I expect from a guy like Olivencia. Even with the cameras missing the finish, the match was absolutely tremendous. My favorite match of the show, great moves, great selling, wonderful heel-face dynamic that told the story, and the crowd loved it. I really enjoyed it too. Jamin Olivencia really stood out here, and it's a shame he never got a real shot outside of OVW. He had some tryouts with ROH, TNA, and Global Force, even did some enhancement work for WWE, losing to Ryback during his Paul Heyman era. According to Cage Match, he stopped wrestling in 2017 after losing to OVW champion Michael Hayes. Not that Michael Hayes. Either way, hope he's well. Moving right along to the other match that's the reason I've remembered this show so fondly, the in-ring return of Perry Saturn as he takes on C.W. Anderson. Pre-match, the AWE president Rick Garrison joins the commentary team and just starts shit-talking about Saturn? The years after WWE release were not kind to Perry. He suffered through drug addiction, homelessness, and being shot after stopping an attack on a woman. So this was Perry's return to the squared circle after 9 years, and it's on pay-per-view. How cool is that? We get pre-match promos, and as good a wrestler as C.W. Anderson is, his promo is not too great. The content is very good, but the delivery is not so good. Saturn, however, cuts a really fun promo with Bill Apter. He seems in great spirits for his return. He ends the promo telling C.W. Anderson, "You may kick my ass, but you're gonna have to," which I think is a great line. Saturn looks great considering everything he'd gone through in those 9 years. Sure, he's got a beer belly, he's not Saturn in 2000, not by a long shot, but he's moving well, bumping well, and doesn't seem to be phoning it in. C.W. Anderson was the perfect opponent for Saturn. He's safe, smart, and can help keep the match going smoothly if needed. Perry dives out to the floor and Anderson wails him with a chair. Saturn gets a small cut that I think is Hardway from catching the chair in a bad spot. CW gets the upper hand for a while once they get it back into the ring, really works over the left shoulder and elbow of Saturn. Old school Anderson family wrestling, I'm into it. Dutch keeps calling the AWE president Mr. Garrison, and I'm just waiting for Mr. Hat to pop up. Saturn makes a comeback and evens things up and gets the W with a surprise sunset flip. That was a pretty good match. There were definitely times Saturn was off by half a step, but I've seen way worse. They kept the action moving, but it never really felt like they were rushing to get stuff in. I really liked it. Next up is Jim Duggan vs. Muhammad Akbar. Hacksaw versus an anti-American Middle Eastern heel, so it's the usual here. I do like Akbar. He gave a pretty decent promo pre-match. Duggan also had a promo with Bill Apter. I wouldn't say it was good, but it was entertaining. I chuckled a couple times. So maybe it was good? Akbar's out first and he does another promo just in the ring this time, and it's interrupted by Hacksaw. If they're going to do this promo segment in front of the crowd, then what was the point of the backstage promos? Akbar pretty much did the same promo twice aside from the interruption. Don't really get that. Hacksaw finally comes out and we get a nice shot of the Rock Fantasy Camp sponsorship on the ring post. The match finally starts and they have some kick punch and immediately go into the longest headlock I can remember seeing in a long time. Duggan Popeyes up with the USA chants from the crowd, sends Akbar into the corner, 3-point stance, clothesline, and the pin and win for Hacksaw. Post-match we get yet another promo from Akbar. It was a fine promo, but holy crap, 3 promos in one segment is too much. The match was okay. If you like 1981 Boston Garden prelim matches, you'd probably like this a whole lot. But I thought it was just okay, didn't really like it. Following that, we're on to the next match, which is Fit Finlay versus Alex Silva. Pre-match promos, of course. Silva says he's going to kill Finlay. Good luck with that. Finlay puts Silva over, but says that once they're in the ring, he pities the kid. Silva is out first to some really spooky music, but he's not a spooky character, so it seems a little odd to me. And Tammy Sytch is out with him. And another post-promo. Fit comes out and we're underway. Finlay takes the early advantage, Silva does a lot of stalling on the outside, he'll come back, Finlay gets him in a hold, and he goes back out. Rinse, repeat. Silva finally stays in the ring, they exchange holds, and Silva gets Fit in the longest damn head scissors I've ever seen. Finlay works out, and we reset. Fit takes back control, hammers Silva with knees to the back and the face, some forearms to the mush, and finally a hard scoop slam. Finlay runs towards the corner, injuring his knee, and that becomes the story of the match. He has trouble getting to his feet, and Tammy takes the opportunity to give him a few shots. It looks like he's done, but Silva pokes the bear, calling Finlay a coward, which gets him back into the ring. Work the knee, work the knee, work the knee. Finlay makes a comeback, but Tammy gets involved again, distracting the Belfast Bruiser and helping Silva get the W. Silva cuts a promo afterward with his nose gushing, which is expected after wrestling Finlay. Looked badass though. Fit has a shouty promo afterwards as well, and that was just fine. I liked parts of it. The amount of time Finlay sold the knee on the outside went on way too long in my opinion. Overall, it was just okay. Next up is what's billed as a special attraction match. Short Sleeve Samson goes one-on-one with Abo Shango. Who's Abo Shango? I have no idea, and neither does the commentary team, so they're useless here. Don't worry though, we don't get a pre-match promo from Short Sleeve Samson. Instead, we get a pre-match rap.
I wonder when that was going.
Short Sleeve Samson's in the house. No doubt I'm gonna shout. I'll knock somebody out. I've got the power of the hour. Abo Shango, I'm gonna devour.
The commentators wonder if they can say midget, and you just did, so there you go. Abo Shango is out next, and as expected, he's a voodoo guy. I like the paint, it looks pretty cool. Shango attacks Pre-Bell, and they do the usual little person, average height person match. I'd say big man, little man match, but the big man in this one is only 5'7". They don't really go the comedy route in this one, which I like. It's a scientific, hard-hitting affair. There's a couple of spots where I'll chuckle just based on the visual, and Samson's version of the worm is called the inchworm. That's pretty funny. But Short Sleeve wasn't biting anyone on the ass, so I'll take it. This is probably the worst the commentators were all night. All 3 of them kept making the same 3 jokes, and it's just not funny, and then it just got annoying. But the match itself was actually pretty good. I've seen Short Sleeve Samson maybe 2 other times, and this was by far my favorite. He was awesome, I really like this one. And finally, it's time for the main event. The match that they would not shut up about all night long. Kevin Nash and a mystery partner versus the Rock and Roll Express. The match was built around 2 things. 1. Nash and Ricky Morton hating each other for a decade prior because of comments Morton made about Nash. And 2. The Rock and Roll Express taking out AWE promoter, I think, Marvin Ward. He used to wrestle, so maybe he was supposed to be Nash's partner originally? Anyway, dude's a carny, so fuck him. We get some really lackluster promos from Ricky and Nash. Ricky says almost nothing. Nash at least gives us a little more meat on the bone, but not what I usually expect from him. It's really somber, but he does have a couple of good lines.
I guess Clubber Lang said it best. Prediction for tonight? Ricky Morton, pain.
The Rock and Roll Express are out first, followed by Kevin Nash, and finally, his mystery partner, Diamond Dallas Page. They kind of spoil it earlier in the show when they aired a clip of DDP making the save for Nash and Marvin Ward. I really wonder how far in advance DDP knew that he'd be working, cause he's in jeans and a t-shirt, sneakers, no elbow pads, his hands aren't even taped. Oh, and it doesn't matter anyway, because after about 3 minutes, Marvin Ward comes out and tells the partners that they can take the night off, because the match is now Ricky Morton versus Kevin Nash, one-on-one, no DQ. And the ref can excuse himself too, because the special ref for this one is straight out of 1989 WWF. It's rugged Ronnie Garvin. They brawl around a bit. Again, it's a lot of stuff going on, but nothing really happening. I also have no idea who the heel is supposed to be. The commentators blame the whole thing on Morton for having started it, like a heel. But then in the match, Nash is absolutely dominating Ricky and Morton makes a babyface comeback? I don't get the dynamic of this. Nash takes a mic mid-match and asks what the hell's Morton's problem with him. Ricky responds that he's given his entire life to wrestling and he loves the business, but Nash is a prick and was only about the money. Nash responds that he was never just about the money. If he was, he'd just be sitting on a beach somewhere. So if that's all it is, then they don't have an issue. Nash extends the handshake, and boom, knee to the gut and a jackknife. Nash takes the mic back and makes it clear he's a heel, and tells everyone of course it's about the money. Why the hell else do you go to work? Buy my t-shirt. Then he leaves and gets counted out. Ricky Morton celebrates, and we fade to credits. And that's how the promotion's first and only pay-per-view comes to an end. A really bizarre main event from start to finish. Honestly, it might be my least favorite thing on the show. Even the matches I didn't like seemed coherent and logical to some extent. This was just a mess. A couple of interesting notes from the credits. Marvin Ward was an executive producer for the show. Did he book this shit? Tully Blanchard was the wrestler coordinator, not sure what that is. Did he book this shit? And Vince McMahon gets listed in the thank yous. Hilarious. Did I like this show? I would say yes, I did like it overall. But I'm a sucker who is easily entertained. The show as a whole is pretty decent in my opinion. Jamin Olivencia vs Sanjay Dutt and Saturn vs C.W. Anderson were still my favorite matches even after not seeing the show in over 10 years. Like I said at the beginning, I discovered this show via Netflix. And I really wish I knew how in the world it got on there. But I'm so glad I was able to track it down finally for this review. From what I found in my research, this wasn't just the only AWE pay-per-view, but it was actually their last show. It's a shame the show was run by a con man like Marvin Ward, who owes tons of money to fans and wrestlers from other events. These young talents really deserved a promotion that could have capitalized on the exposure. If you've got 2.5 hours to kill and you want to watch a wrestling show with some good, some bad, and some really ugly, I suggest watching this. There's some DVDs of the show floating around online, and it's streaming if you know where to look. Have fun! Watch wrestling, love wrestling. I'm Scott from WrestleSpective. Thanks for watching.